Hey everyone. When you own a rental property here in Everett, Washington, there's no doubt it's hard work. And there's a lot of things you have to remember and rules, laws, and regulations you have to keep up with. Does it make sense for you to do it yourself? Or does it make sense for you to hire a property management company? That's the question we're going to ask. I'm Steve Rosenberg, head of investor education for Mind Property Management. Today we're going to look at some of the things that have to go on when you own a rental property, and then you can determine whether or not it does or does not make sense to hire a local property management company here in Everett, Washington, like Mind Property Management. So, what do you think about when you own a rental property? It's not just four walls and roof. There are laws, rules, and regulations. More importantly, it's a business. So you have to make sure that you are treating it like a business. Your role may be to own multiple properties. Well, when you own multiple properties and you've got a job and you have a family and you've got to make sure that the ever-changing laws, which are always constantly in flux, are being maintained up to date and enforced, it can sometimes be a very heavy burden for you to have to deal with. And that may not be the reason that you even got into real estate. Maybe you got into real estate because you wanted to have a safe, secure retirement. Maybe you wanted to have passive income. Maybe you wanted to have more free time. Well, the challenge is if you're doing all of this yourself, you probably don't have any of those because there's no guarantee that you're actually doing it the right way. There's no school that tells you that unless you actually go to the same certification and educations that professional property management companies go to. Just because you bought a great deal, it doesn't mean that you are going to get the return out of that great deal day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year for the next 10, 20, 30 years. That is the business model that you've got to make sure. Investing is not a singular sport. Many people think that they buy a property and they can do it all themselves. That's not the best way, in my opinion, on how to increase your net worth and grow your portfolio. You do that by having teams like Mind Property Management that are there, boots on the ground, that can help you. So what are some of the things you got to think about when you have a rental property here in Everett or anywhere? And what do you have to do? Well, first of all, you've got to make sure you get the property rent ready and you got to make sure that you get it up to code. Then you got to make sure you are advertising the property and you are abiding by all the fair housing discrimination laws and you are doing the background check and you're abiding by all the rules, laws, and regulations with Fair Credit Reporting Act, putting the tenant in. Then once the tenant's in, you got to make sure that you sign the correct lease with all the addendums and documentation. And then you got to make sure that you enforce it correctly. Next thing, you've got maintenance. Who's responsible for certain items? Is the owner responsible for everything? Or are you going to make the tenant responsible for something? What does the law state? And if some things don't go right, you've got to do lease enforcement and maybe a violation of the lease and maybe even an eviction. These are a lot of things you have to deal with. And this is why you want to make sure that if you're going to do it, you have to make sure that you are doing it correctly, consistently, and within the confines of the law. If you're not going to do it, you've got to make sure you have a partner that's helping you. Some of the things you got to think about when you're here in Everett, Washington is you have a lot of mold issues because it rains a lot, right? We all know it rains a lot here in Everett, and you have to make sure that you are taking care of the roof, you're taking care of all the moisture problems, you're making sure the ventilation and heating is taken care of. There's just a lot of things that you have to make sure are up to code. Washington State has a lot of obligations for you as a landlord. So you've got to make sure the premises are fit for human habitation. You got to make sure all the common areas are clean and they're safe. You got to make sure that insects, rodents are taken care of. You've got to maintain the roof, walls, foundation. You're going to get a lot of seepage and stuff like that here in the local area. So you got to make sure that you're maintaining that. Electrical, plumbing, heating, these are all responsibilities for you, the landlord. Basically, anything that would make the house unsafe or uninhabitable is your responsibility. You've got to make sure that you do that. And you've got to make sure that you are affording all the rights to the resident. You've got COVID-19, you've got a lot of new rules, a lot of regulations you have to deal with. That may not be something that you want to handle. Mind Property Management, we have a fantastic 3-tiered system. Makes it very, very easy for us to manage your property. It's 3-tiered, it's $99 a month or $139 a month or $179 a month, depending on what you are looking to purchase and the level of assistance you're looking for. If you go to our website at mynd.co, you can get all the information you need, mynd.co. And remember, we have legal in-house counsel to make sure that we are making smart decisions for you in Everett, Washington, or any one of our national markets that we manage in. We're in over 19 investable markets. We can help you, whether it's here in Everett or you have properties scattered across the U.S. or want to purchase across the U.S. We want to be your team. So make sure you look us up at mynd.co. We can help you make smart decisions, and this is what a property management company does. They are part of your team. They're here to make you successful, and this is how we're going to do it together. I'm Steve Rosenberg with Mynd Property Management. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time.